All right. Hello, hello. Welcome to arguably the worst marketed resume training ever, how to write a good enough resume today. This is going to be a simple guide to writing a 200 to 500K plus resume based on what we are using at Career Sprout. We have a coaching company that helps people land 200K to 500K plus tech jobs. And we are going to talk about our least favorite part of the process, the resume. And to do that, I'm going to open it up. A lot of people have already seen this, but in case you haven't, there is somebody, their real name is not Angelina Lee, but they went viral because they wanted to see if recruiters actually read their resume. So they wrote this resume for their background in Instagram, Zillow, LinkedIn, Microsoft. And if you probably would assume it would do okay, that's great background. Recruiters and hiring managers don't actually read resumes. Most people do exactly what I just did. Software engineer, good companies, cool. Got 90% response rate here. So if you've got some of these names, you're in luck. Odds of you getting a response, very high. If you don't have names that these companies know or aren't relevant to the companies that you're interviewing with, and you are spending a bunch of time obsessing about all of the little details and putting these really long bullet points and making sure your whole life experience is on there, well, recruiters and hiring managers or hiring teams, AI, aren't really scanning through all of that. As you notice here, if you zoom in, she's got things like team coffee maker, ensured a team of 6 was caffeinated. Um, she's got things like, and actually all of these links, this isn't clickable right now, but it went to that funny YouTube song, spread herpes STD to 60% of the intern team. Like, this is things that people put in that got passed because why? Recruiters and hiring managers oftentimes aren't reading word for word every single word you write on your resume, which is why all you need is a good enough resume. They are very quickly asking, hey, does this person experience match the role? Can I quickly understand their impact? Are there any concerns here? Anything that's raising a red flag? And after helping quite a few folks, we've realized that good resume is not going to get you a job, but a bad one makes it hard to get interviews. And oftentimes what makes a bad resume is not what people think. And I did put a little joke in here just in case anybody needed it. So I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process that we teach our coaches, that we teach our coaches to teach our, we write our clients' resumes for them. So that's why we teach coaches. But we have taught this method to many people, thousands of people at this point who aren't even clients. And we have gotten a ton of messages from folks that have used this process to write their own resume. Now, why are we doing this instead of charging you? Well, we hate writing resumes is the full truth of it. So if you can come to us with a great resume, we're going to have a much better time working together than if you want us to write your resume for you. We will do it, but we don't enjoy it. So here is the goal of this, is that you've got everything that you need to write a good enough resume so it's not preventing you from getting conversations. So let's dive in. Step 0, before we even get started, we have a fun saying here that I believe Plato originated. He who chases two rabbits catches none. Same thing with your resume. If you're trying to speak to a bunch of different roles, a bunch of different, there's no way for you to demonstrate that you're great at product and that you're a great customer success manager. Oh, and you do strategy and ops, and oh, you're an account executive. You can't go and target a bunch of different roles. It just dilutes your message. So before we ever get started, we just get really clear on the person, your short-term and your long-term personal and professional goals. And the way we do it at Career Sprout is we start with the personal and then make sure the professional is supporting those personal goals. It's really easy to get caught in the trap of just wanting more, making more money, fancier title, whatever the case may be. But if you don't have a good home life or you hate yourself at the end of the workday and you're just working to avoid that, not really a great life, and we want to avoid that. So we start with, hey, what are your personal goals in this season of life, along with the long term, and how do we help you build a career that helps you support those goals, a career that you can be really proud of. So if you have not done a career audit, or if you are still debating which role is the right role for you, I have linked the audit process that we use to help clients narrow down the one target role. I don't want you to get caught up on titles because, as we know, different companies use different titles, different levels of seniority, all of that. What I do want you to get really clear on is the scope of your role. What is the next role that you're going to be targeting? What's the work that actually energizes you? Which roles map to the work that you want to do more of? For example, like a strategic program manager at one company may also be called strategy and ops, but the roles that you're doing, the responsibilities that you would hold are going to be really similar oftentimes. So going through that audit, very, very important, because every single line, every bullet point, every keyword should support and tell the narrative of why you are a good fit for that one type of role. Once you're there, then we're going to use a really clean, simple, arguably the ugliest resume template that you have ever seen, because it is just really easy for a recruiter, hiring manager, and ATS to scan. We use a 7-section, 6 sections if you're a little bit more junior in your career. And what it looks like is you've got your header. It's going to be your name, your email, your contact information. We just put no sponsorship required here as well. If you do require sponsorship, obviously that would not be a good thing to, like, don't lie and say no sponsorship required. But if you do not require sponsorship, that's a really great thing to include in your resume. And so there's that. Then there's the summary, the career highlights, and we're going to go line by line or section by section, breaking down what good looks like for each of these. But just to give you the overview, this is exactly what we use. If you have 10 plus years of experience, generally we'll insert a career highlight section. This is especially valuable if you are going for an executive role and you have a ton of experience. This allows us to get the meat and potatoes of it up front, because what most recruiters do is they read in an F shape. So they'll scan here to see the years of experience, the types of companies, the types of industries that you've worked in. And then as they go down the side, being able to see some of those quantifiable accomplishments. We'll talk about that more in a bit. And then just selected experience. Generally, we don't go back more than 10 to 15 years. Even if you have more than 10 to 15 years of experience, we just want to keep the things that are most relevant to this next role that you're targeting. And we break it up into responsibilities. This is the stuff you see repeated across all the job descriptions. And then we're going to tie in your quantifiable accomplishments, your key achievements for each of those selected roles. And then if there's more work that you want to show because you got a great logo, we've got an other professional experience, an education section, and a key skills and tools. So we'll dive into those a little bit more in depth here. Quick FAQ and myth busting. You don't need to have your resume stay on one page. If you've got less than 5 years of experience, keep it to one page. You probably don't have that much relevant stuff that would require 2 pages. Pretty much everybody else can be on 2 pages. Now, is it going to disqualify you if you've got 10, 15 plus years of experience and you go on to 3 pages? No, but it usually means that you're including stuff that you don't necessarily need. So most people can fit on 2 pages. And a bonus tip, once you have figured out what next role that you are targeting, if you go ahead and you just study about 15 to 25 job descriptions for that target role, it's going to be really easy for you to do the rest of these steps. You'll find the keywords that are repeated across each of those job descriptions. You'll be able to, highlight what's relevant from your experience and then de-emphasize the work that doesn't really matter as much to this target role. And it'll also help you avoid some of that overly technical stuff if you're operating in tech, which most of our clients do. Your resume should be able to be read by a non-technical person, and they should be able to articulate what it is that you have done. So the only things that you are going to include that are technical are the things that you see repeated across multiple job descriptions. I do a lot of volunteer work with military vets, and the analogy that I like to use here is we're not talking about everything that you've always done, and we're not talking about it in the language that you use in day-to-day life. If you are military or you know somebody in the military, you know that they speak a completely different language over there. And so what we do is we have to translate from how you speak in your day-to-day. We translate that to English first, to civilian talk or to recruiter talk, and then we can translate and filter it to only the things that matter for this next role that you are targeting. So let's walk through what that looks like for each of these sections. First, your summary. So just going back to the example here, your summary section, it's just going to be 1-2 paragraphs max. Generally, you want to keep it 3 to 5 lines per paragraph. This is going to be really punchy. And this is not meant to tell everything that you've ever done. It's supposed to position you for the job that you want and make it really easy for those hiring teams to understand your experience at a glance. So you want to include the role, the function, your years of experience, industries, the scope of your work. If you've got leadership experience, that's a great thing to include up there. And then the impact or the strengths, your talents, your experience, you're using the language pulled from job descriptions here. That's really important. So what most people will do is they'll say something like this: oh, I'm highly motivated. I'm a product leader. I've got a passion, synergy, collaboration. I can do anything. I learn quickly, looking for my next exciting opportunity to do great things with great people, right? Strong people person, great personality. I am energetic, enthusiastic, outside the box, whatever. None of this really tells anybody what it is that you're doing. And compare that to a strong summary. We want to be really clear. What is your function? How many years of experience do you have? What industries? What have you worked on? If you've got any really any household name brands, for companies such as Google, Amazon, whatever, you can put that right here. Totally fine if you don't have it. And then what is most relevant for a product leader? Well, having a successful track record of taking products from idea to launch, creating product roadmaps, go-to-market strategies, gaining support, leading and mentoring globally distributed teams, right? Creating personal development and performance plans and ensuring OKRs are understood and achieved. All of this, if you're studying product leader, VP or director or senior product leader job descriptions, you are going to see these things repeated over and over and over again. That's where that's coming from. You don't start with your background and try to think of everything that you've ever done and try to make that concise. No, you just start with the job descriptions and pull the things that are repeated over and over and over again. And that's all you have to do for your summary here. Now, the next thing is if you've got 10 plus years of experience or just some really cool, impressive, quantifiable accomplishments, heck yeah, add in a career highlights section. That's going to go right here under the summary section. Now, this is important. This is something that if you're thinking of, I think it's Ogilvy was the one that made this famous. The goal of the headline is to earn, them reading the next section. The goal of this sentence is to earn their curiosity, essentially, so that they want to read the next section. And so making sure whatever you're putting here, it should make somebody pause and go, oh, interesting. Oh, really relevant to what we're looking for here. And so if you write career highlight bullet points like this, collaborated with other departments, responsible for the tech department and IT systems, helped increase efficiencies, managed a team, implemented cloud solutions. Okay, none of that is going to make somebody stop. And in addition to that, it doesn't give them any added context of what it is that you actually did. And my favorite analogy for this is, if I just said to you, hey, I saw somebody run across the field. This is my favorite. If I tell you, hey, I saw somebody run across the field, what do you picture? I want you to stop and actually picture somebody running across the field. It's very unlikely that what you are picturing is exactly the same image of what I am picturing in my head. It's actually very unlikely that we're even in the same arena right now. You might be picturing a soccer player running across a field or a streaker running across a professional football game, whatever. You don't have enough context to know what it is I'm actually talking about. But if I said, hey, I was in the stadium when Usain Bolt ran 100 meters in 9 point whatever seconds to break the world record. Well, now you've got a different image in your head, most likely. Very unlikely that you were picturing Usain Bolt last time. Same thing here. We want to give the amount of context necessary so they actually understand the significance of what it is that you did. So while these are weak, even though there's in a fun little, everybody on LinkedIn likes to do this nowadays with the waterfall. Even though it looks fun, it's not nearly as powerful about giving context. So rather than just saying, you manage this team, what did I have up here? Collaborated with other departments, responsible for these things, managed a team. Rather than saying that, give context. Manage global organizations of up to how many people while maintaining what percentage of retention rate. And if you increase employee engagement, even better, right? Increase website visits. How much? By doing what? So you have a result by doing what? It gives them context. Reduce data center expenses. This is how I moved the needle. Went from 10 million to 1 million annually by consolidating these into a hybrid cloud solution. Grew capitalized software assets from 0 to 3 million annually by introducing and implementing this. Helped individuals secure senior leadership promotions by training and mentor through direct training and mentorship, right? So what is the quantifiable result or the scope or the context? And if you are a leader, this is one of the best bullet points that you can include because it demonstrates to a company, not only are you a good leader, but you are great at making leaders, creating leaders, building people up, which means hypothetically speaking, you will be better at helping them grow and scale more than somebody who stunts the people underneath them. So that is how you write a strong career highlight section. Now, the next section here is your selected experience. So we've gone through the header, the summary, the career highlights. Now we're going to pick, usually it's about 2 to 4 relevant roles, no more than 10, 15 years ago. And we're going to talk about the company, the years you were there, the title, and then what was the scope of your work, the responsibilities. Again, this is pretty much just repeated from job descriptions. And then what are the quantifiable accomplishments that you have achieved during your time there? You don't need to over-explain things here. This is not an interview response. You're not giving a star answer, talking about how you did all of the things. You are being concise and just talking about the relevant metrics to your role. If you're customer success, you increase CSAT, decrease churn, increase ARR with upsells, whatever. It could be revenue, it could be retention, it could be time saved, it could be headcount, it could be anything that's relevant to your target roles. And how do you know what's relevant? Well, it's repeated across job descriptions that you studied before we even got started with your resume. And I did put a couple of hidden gems in here. For those of you who are watching this video, I'll call one of them out. We see this all the time. People try to talk about everything that they've done because they think it's all really, really important. But what happens is you miss the actual meat and potatoes. And I'm very Irish, so yes, I will use meat and potatoes many, many times. If what you do is you have concise responsibilities, hey, I was overseeing this number of people, this P&L, here's what I did. I was communicating technology to technical and non-technical, building cross-functional relationships, preventing data breaches, developing and executing technological resource, right? Aligning an AI initiatives with OKRs. I was able to achieve these things. Oversaw reduction, grew capitalized software assets, increased software engineering effectiveness. It's really easy for somebody to see, okay, this is what they did and this is what they achieved. What most people do is they try to combine that all into one. And you'll get these really long paragraphs or really long bullet points. And the meat and potatoes is hidden in it. What most people will do is they're going to read, okay, led cross-functional, okay, they worked cross-functionally, okay, modernization roadmap, maybe they'll see that, developed mission-critical enterprise-grade systems, okay, cool. And they're just going to scan through it. But the reality is this person was actually really impressive. Check this out. And then nobody even sees this. They did all of these things, including saving billions. Heck, you could even say trillions of dollars here because no one's going to actually read this or care that you unlocked latent growth potential through technological enabler. Like, it gets so hidden. It's so hard. Somebody has to read so much to be able to pull out what it is that you actually did. Even this one, we see this all the time. It's like all of this fluff. And then it was like to deliver billions in revenue. It's like, what the heck? Make that really easy for somebody to see that you made billions of dollars from this initiative or that you doubled productivity. All of that gets lost in these long bullet points. Whereas this person, you can see exactly what it is that they did. They increased this, they transformed from this to this. They did from this to this. And so these numbers stand out, and it's really easy for somebody to see. And we'll show you actual real examples of full resumes at the end here. But really important that it's easy for somebody to see that you are a data-driven, metric-driven individual, and you know how your role moves the needle and provides value for your business. And again, if you've got more than 10, 15 years of experience, you can just use this other experience section. So let's say like Walmart and Sony would be great logos for you to have on your resume, but they were old and you're going for a senior director program management. Well, maybe these earlier in your career aren't the most recent or aren't the most relevant roles, but these are really great brands. All you're going to do is put that right at the bottom here in the other professional experience section. And then education, that one's fairly self-explanatory. Keep it simple. We never put graduation years, GPAs, coursework, honors, extracurriculars. We don't put any of that on there. And we've actually had quite a few very well-paid executives leave this section off entirely because they never actually graduated college. So if that's you, you can leave that off entirely. And this is the format that we use. It's just education, put your college, your degree and your major, and then if you have any relevant certifications, you can put those there as well. If you've got like a dog walking certification, unless it's relevant to your job, you don't need to put that there. And then the key skills and tools, very similar, only relevant. So the way we do it is we break it down. This is probably like the most ATS thing that we do, is just any of the things that are really relevant to the role. So it's the strategic, the leadership, the functional capabilities of your role that you see repeated everywhere, or if tools keep getting repeated everywhere, especially for technical folks, this is your opportunity to put some of those in here. Make it, don't have it be half a page, but when I show you the examples, you'll see varying lengths there. Again, the goal is not perfection here. The goal is good enough. What really matters is your ability to build relationships with the people who work at the companies that you're excited about. It's not about the perfect format or the perfect resume. And then a lot of people nowadays aren't even actually looking at the resume. Even if you submit it, they check out your LinkedIn profile. So our clients, their LinkedIn profiles are just a perfect mirror of their resume. They just copy and paste the section. This walks you through how to do it. And the one other thing that they add in is a headline. So we just make it short and sweet based on relevant info. So like for example, if you're a product leader, what are the industries? Did you do B2B, B2C? If you've got a cool stat like this, you can add that. If you're a program manager, what's a cool stat that you have? Head of customer success, right? Just very clearly what the function is that you're targeting. And if you've got something really relevant or a cool aggregate stat, whatever you can put there is great. I shouldn't say whatever you put there. Short and sweet and based on relevant info is great. Update your photo if needed. Make sure it's just a professional up-close picture. Smiling is great. You can test it out with, there's free things like photofeeler.co. I believe they're still free. Actually, if they're not, there's other free ones out there. So you can actually test how competent, how likable, your influence. You can get scored on those things to see. Don't just get your mom's opinion of it. My mom would tell me I look great no matter what. Your mom hopefully will, well, not everybody's mom would. My mom actually wouldn't. She would tell me if she thought I looked silly. Okay, off track a little bit there. And now your about section, it's just literally you're going to copy and paste your summary. This is what goes into your about section of LinkedIn. It's going to be your summary, your career highlights, and then your key skills and tools. You can put a little call to action at the bottom of it that says, hey, contact me at insert your email address. And then you just copy and paste the responsibilities and the accomplishments to each of your role history. That's it. That's actually it. The rest of that is from A to Z, or I guess step 0 to step 8, how to write your resume and your LinkedIn profile so that it is good enough in this market. This is maybe the most important thing of all of this. Your resume is not going to be what gets you a job. It's not even going to be the thing that gets you a conversation oftentimes in today's market. So instead of endlessly tweaking, waiting for it to be perfect or trying to make it perfect, get good enough into the market and then focus your time on building relationships with the hiring teams who work at the companies you admire. Really, really important. At the time of me recording this, it's a very heavily employer-driven market right now. And so resumes, there's a lot of news articles and studies being done where best case scenario for applications is about 2% response rate right now. 0.5 to 2%. So that means you've got to send out like 50 to 200 applications just to even hear back from 1 to 2. And then in addition to that, all of the time that you spend making your resume better than good enough, it doesn't move the needle at all, or very, very, very minimally moves the needle. Whereas that time, there's such a huge opportunity cost of you using your time on your resume. Because if you were using that time to do outreach messages or building relationships, activating your current network, building a new network, and we share these scripts and templates also on our website or wherever you're viewing this. Click around the buttons, you'll probably stumble upon them. The outreach templates that our clients use are converting at 20% response, or we don't even troubleshoot unless it drops below 20% response. So the effort of sending out 100 applications versus 100 messages, you're looking at a 10x difference in response rate, focusing on the relationships, focusing on outreach instead of your resume. And we'll be rooting for you. This is our little group buddy that we like to look at, because even if you're sad, can't be sad when you're looking at a group, or at least this group. So use those resume template. I've got it linked up above. I've got it linked here. If you do need added coaching, at the moment we have a fairly hefty wait list, but I've got a link there if you would like to work with us. And then we've got some bonus things here. This is probably the one that will change the most, or I will do my best to keep up to date as we find things that work better and better. These are just some prompts based on the different types of roles that we see common, or some of the common roles we see in tech, and how you can prompt the GPT for those. And then we also have included some real life examples. I just removed the company names and the names of the folks. Obviously, make sure you include your header up here when you write yours, but there's some examples there as well across some of the common disciplines in tech too. Tech as well. So if you have any questions, of course, just let us know. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any requests of other resources that would be helpful, please do let us know. And I hope you guys are having a good one. Talk to you soon.